Hello, sunshines! This is Heather, known as BunniPhish on most social media. Let's get started working our 9-inch circular sock from the toe up. So I will not be starting mine on a 9-inch circular. You absolutely can. I don't like it. I find it really fiddly. So I will be starting mine magic loop. I also start the toes on double pointed needles or on two 9-inch circulars. It's just whatever needle I have available at the time. I am going to start with Judy's Magic Cast On. And I like to knit my first half round without any increases. Now we have half a round finished. I am going to go ahead and start working the increases, and you would work your increases however you normally work toe increases. I have worked through my increases. Did I drop a stitch? I totally dropped a stitch. I'll fix it when I get there. I've worked all of my increases and I have to close this increase stitch. I like to do that on my transfer round rather than, well, that's just how I like to do it. So now I'm going to work across the top of the foot with my 9-inch circular. I'm at the end of that first needle, the front needle. So now I'm going to leave my 9-inch circular exactly where it was, and I'm going to continue working across the back needle. If you were doing a pattern where you worked some sort of something across the top of the sock, you would want to put in a marker here to show you where your side of the sock is. That's not necessary for my sock, so I'm just going to continue working around, and you can see that the needle is curving to take those stitches on. Now I have my little toe on my 9-inch circular. I'm going to place beginning of round marker, and I am going to go ahead and work this foot until the length I need in order to put on a heel. So I'll see you guys in about 5 inches. I have made it up the foot and I am ready to start the gusset. So I will knit across the top of the foot. So I'll put the stitch marker in so I know where the bottom of the foot begins, and then I will begin my increases. So knit 1, increase, knit 2, 1 stitch before the beginning of round stitch marker, make my increase, knit 1, continue across the top of the foot. And then I will do a round of plain knitting and then an increase round. So I'll switch off those 2 rounds until I have the stitch count that is called for in my pattern. I am through the gusset stitches. You can see that all of the stitches are on the needle, which is 32 stitches for the front half of the sock and 54 stitches for the back for me. Those are my numbers. So you can fit a lot of stitches comfortably on these 9-inch circulars. Now I'm going to begin the heel turn. So I'm going to work across the top of the foot. And now I'm going to work my heel turn as per my pattern. So I have my triangle of my heel turn. You can see right there, it starts with that dark green. That was a convenient color shift. Good job, sock. So now I'm going to start working back and forth to make my heel flap. So I need to get to the leftmost side when I'm looking at the right side needle. I like to slip my stitches on the purl side because then there's less purling for me to do. Some patterns will have you do the step where you work the wrapped stitches of a heel turn before you start working the heel flap itself. I don't bother. It doesn't bother me to just work over those as I come to them. Heel is finished, so now I'm going to go ahead and resume working in the round, and I will see you in about 5 inches of leg. I am ready to put in my heel, so step 1 is to knit across the top of the foot. Once there, go ahead and put in a stitch marker so that it's really easy to see as you work the heel where your top of the foot is. After a couple rows, it will become pretty obvious, but definitely right at the beginning it can be a little bit tricky. First, we are going to look at a short row heel. To do this, you will follow your pattern for the short row heel, making sure to use those 2 markers, the beginning of round marker and the beginning of heel marker, as your designation for the sides of that heel. So you will work at short rows that become shorter, and then you will work in short rows that become longer. go ahead and resume working in the round, and I will see you in about 5 inches of leg. I have made it the entire length of the leg of the sock, so now I am going to start the cuff, which means I'm going to do a setup round, which is not necessary, but I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do 10 rounds and the bind off. The cuff is finished, so all that is left is a bind off and weaving in ends. So, bind off first, obviously. I like to bind off in pattern, so I'm starting on purls. So I'm going to purl 2 and then purl 2 together through the back loop. My next stitch is a knit, so I'm going to knit that and then knit 2 together through the back loop. And continue alternating around in that manner. I find that this bind off is stretchy enough to comfortably get these socks on over even my giant instep. Now have a finished sock, minus weaving in the ends. Thank you so much for joining me for knitting a sock on 9-inch circulars toe up. If you have any questions about any particular technique that was involved in this video, or if something was unclear, please let me know in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as I can, or record a follow-up video if necessary. Thank you so much. Bye!